Thank you. So I'm very sorry for you. In fact, you don't have any break. And you will stay. For me, it's okay because it's Paris time. I think it's about 10 o'clock right now. So I can go for 3-4 hours. I don't have any problems. And then how about you? It's a big surprise. Okay, so it's not the first time that I'm in China, but it's the first time that I talk to the audience like yours. I'll ask you a little question. What do you think these people are doing? Somebody can tell me? What are they doing here in this picture? They're jumping. Something else? Celebrating. Something else? Okay. Something else? Express themselves. That's it? That's it? Some other ideas? They're shooting for the picture, right? The advertisement. Okay. Well, no one of you told me that they are working. You're even laughing, right? Because you've never seen people working like that. I did. That's what I did at my work while I went about 30 companies in 5 or 6 countries. And in fact, what struck me is that people looked like that. By the way, the first time I saw that, we spent 1 week in the United States and studied 4 companies. And it was not the first trip, but during the first trip. And we saw people like that, so we called them the next day and said, wasn't it the payday when they got salary? So they were smiling and happy, and they said, no, it was the usual day. So we pushed further. I'm making now American jokes, right? Aren't you smoking something? And inhaling, because it's very important in America, right? To separate two. And so they laughed too, and they said, you know what, Professor Getz? It's not entirely wrong. People in our vicinity think we are a cult. Yeah. They say, you know, like in Desperate Housewives, do you see Desperate Housewives here? This film? You see it? Like you have a neighbor, right? And going to his car and he's smiling. Say, why are you smiling? Wow, I love my job so much. So it's a little bit strange, right? So now then the person comes back, gets out of the car and is smiling even more. So what's the explanation? He's smiling because they go there, they smoke something, and as he smoked, now he's very happy coming back. You're not laughing. I'm trying to make American jokes, you're not laughing. Okay. So, do you believe it's true? Do you believe that there are many companies like that? How is it in China? What is your experience? That people every day wake up and they love to go to work. They have a lot of fun. They enjoy every moment. Spend a great day. When I started to talk about it in 2007 approximately, in France and Europe, people didn't believe me. They said, maybe Professor Getz, you are smoking something, right? You're telling us these stories. So, in order to really make people, they're in denial, psychologists call it denial. You tell them, I saw them, they say, no, it's not true. So, I looked for the way to convince them, and in fact, I thought that there's the best way to convince people. I don't know how it's in China. What's the best way to convince people? They don't believe it's true. You said, I saw it, they don't believe. What's the best way to convince people? Let them see. See where. You're halfway. See where. Where? Themselves. It's true. In France, I don't know how it's in China, on TV. Everything we say on TV is true. Right? It's the problem of Einstein had to wait 13 years to prove his theory because there was no TV. He would go on TV, everyone said it's true. So anyway, I was looking for a producer and they found a producer of a documentary film and he did the film. So I'll show you. And it went in Europe in 2015 on the screens. 90 minutes. I'll show you just one little. I hope the sound will work. I think everything was tested. This works. Not working. Weidong. Starts technology. I start again. I do it again. Tac. Not working? Not moving? Somebody can push the button? Yep. Okay, not good. You need to do something with the screen. Please go on the screen. I'll try to contact you. I'm sorry, I'm very directive, right? Try to go to the screen with the mouth. With the mouth. Because you're in the middle of the film. I needed to check. It's in fact my fault. It's not their fault. I usually check it. And there is something that you need. You need to put back the film. You need to put back the film, okay? Okay, now it's good. Sound, we need the sound. There's a film, but no sound. Sound. No sound. Okay. It's a silent movie.
Always been against.
Okay. So can we go back just for a second and take this and bring it back? Okay, okay, start again.
On va dire que je m'éclate dans mon job.
Moi, je dis que le matin, quand je me lève, quand je viens travailler, je prends un verre d'eau dans le cuisine.
I have always been against hierarchy and against strict rules. I worked in a normal company, and then I thought always that can't be true, that I have to come at 8 o'clock to work and leave at 4 o'clock. Little by little it came a passion to me. I wanted to show that there is another way to manage a company.
They came up with some very simple things. Let's tell the truth. Let's be fair. Let's keep our promises. Let's respect the individual. And let's encourage intellectual curiosity.
Et bonjour Samira, Sébastien.
Oui, allô Sébastien?
Ça serait pour enregistrer une intervention, s'il te plaît.
On a dit voilà comment vous aimeriez être rémunéré. On a demandé à tout le monde de donner ses idées. Donc cette rémunération, elle a été décidée par l'ensemble des salariés.
Bob's style is to say, here are the objectives, you figure out what the solution is. If I've got the right people, then they're going to make the right decision.
It's good. I mean, it's all about respect. You give respect to others and they give you respect back.
Alors en vente, on avait un directeur d'usine, on avait un chef du personnel, on avait des contremaîtres et des chefs de ligne.
Quand vous êtes hiérarchique et que d'un coup vous ne l'êtes plus, il y a vraiment un travail sur soi-même à faire. On l'accepte ou on l'accepte pas. Je vois les gens soumis, ils sont beaucoup plus heureux. Ils sont calmes, ils sont zen. Et ça, c'est grâce justement à ce travail de fond.
Je pense qu'on décuple la productivité des personnes dans un système comme celui-ci, évidemment.
I knew that if I went to a minister in the beginning and said, we won't tell people when and where to work, they would go berserk. So I didn't. I just worked it out. And after 3-4 years, they said, hey, what have you been doing there? I said, sorry, we can't get back now. And then they saw the results, and the results were better than before. So they wanted to be in the picture, and we put them in the picture.
It's kind of a double-edged sword too, because when you're given all of the liberties and all of the trust to do your job and do it well, you better perform.
So this film is called Happiness at Work. It has been downloaded, paid, not pirate, right? Paid downloaded, 1 million times in France by this producer. That's more than all the other films in the history of this chain. It changed the life of many companies. Not my book, but the film. What do you think the reality is? I was a kind of scientific advisor of this film, and I told them the companies and the ministries and so on that work that way, that we call liberated companies. What is the percentage of people, do you think, in Europe? I won't give you the data on China, you can find it. The percentage of people in Europe that are called engaged employees, that go to work not because they must, but because they want. And every day, they enjoy what they're doing, and when they come home and they say, honey, I'll tell you another great day I spent, and we go to bed, they can't wait to wake up in the morning because every day is like that. What's the percentage of French or European people that work like that are engaged employees? What do you think? What's the percentage? 13 or 30? 13. Other guesses? 20%. Other guesses? 10%. Okay. So you're close to the reality. I'll show you. This is Gallup Employee Engagement World Survey. You have it also for China. By the way, the new one is coming this week. Okay, but I have the data from Gallup directly. I know that the average European engagement is 10%. Now, why the hen? Do you know why the hen? The hen. Because I compare them to a hen. Now, what's job description of a hen? HR people, what's job description of the hen? Don't laugh, tell me. Lay eggs, right? Okay, lay eggs. So, it's true, she was hired to lay eggs, but these people, engaged people, they're some kind of special people. So this is a special hen, right? Usually you hire job description, hire eggs, what color? What color of eggs? Job description. White, okay, this is white, this is like the first level employee, right? High potential, brown eggs, okay? So let's say when you hire to lay brown eggs, the first day she goes into the hen house, she comes out and she's proud. Look how proud she is. You're laughing, but I can tell you in the average company everyone is worried. Extremely worried. What did she do? So they go and they check. And they find an egg. And it's even ISO 9001 egg. Do you have ISO 9001? Quality egg. The form, the weight, everything is perfect. The only problem is it's not brown. Wrong color. What color it is? What do you think? White. Yeah, you were very rational people. But you are wrong. She laid a golden egg. Can you imagine that? Now I can tell you, all the company is extremely worried. The first people who are very worried are managers. You know why? You understand or no? So how can they manage her? She'll immediately ask for a raise in salary. She's laying golden eggs, so she wants more money, right? But the HR director told me no raise the first year. No raise first year. Second year, yes. So she'll be unhappy all the time. So the manager is worried. But the worst, you know who are the worst or not? The colleagues. Look at the colleagues. They talk all the time. The colleagues. You know what they talk about? They say, because of her, our managers will ask everyone to lay golden eggs. But will they increase the salary? Yes or not? Of course not. So they're not happy. In France, they take flags, and they go to the streets, okay? Okay. So this is the first category. The second category, they're called disengaged employees. Disengaged. I'll give you the shortest definition of a disengaged employee that I've ever heard from the CEO of a medium company. He said, oh, you're talking about disengaged employees. Oh, I have some. I have. Those are the people that come every day in order to... Why do they come to work? In order to? They come in order to leave. The moment they come, they want to leave. But they're coming still to accomplish 2 physical acts per day. 2. The number 1. They come do physical work. 2. The first action. Coffee. Some people say coffee. No, this is a risk. It's a taking initiative. It's a risky, thing. You can drop on your hot coffee, it's dangerous. What's the first action? Opening the... It's not bad, but something before that. No? Clock in. Clock in. Now, the moment they clock in, what do they want immediately to do? Clock out. Exactly. Okay. Now, I don't know how it's in China. In France, the French have to work 35 hours. So the moment he wants to clock out, there's HR director coming, no. You have to wait 7 hours, 36 minutes. Then you can clock out. Now I have a question for you. Do you think these people who come for a paycheck, who come and look at their watch, who stand in line to clock out, you know there's a line at work, right? Who is the first one to clock out? You understand that? So they finish the work 15 minutes before the time so they can be in the line. These people, are they creative? Are they innovative? Do they take initiative? Yes or not? You're all rational people, that's great. But you're all wrong. You're all wrong. You can't imagine the number of creative ideas that people have, then we have to spend 7 hours, 36 minutes at work. You can't imagine what you can do during this time. You're not laughing. There's a lot of wonderful things that people imagine at work, okay? Playing on the computer, surfing, a lot of stuff. Anyway, how many they are in Europe? We have this saying, you ask people, how do you do? It says like a Monday. No, Monday is the worst day for these people, okay? Friday is the best day. Okay, Monday is the worst day. Okay, so how many there are? There are 3 categories in Gallup. This is called disengaged employees. So they just wait time to pass. 60. Tell everything you think about Europeans. Now. 20. She's nice to Europeans. She loves Paris. Okay, ready? I compare them to the horse, but tired horse. Tired horse. When they come to work, they immediately sit down. If they can lay, they lay down. But careful, the ear is up. Because if the boss is coming, huh, I'm here. What? Okay. But when the boss is left, I lay down. Okay. Now there's a last category. We're missing 20% of people, right? Who are they? Who are they? Neither they engaged nor disengaged. Who are they? Half-half, you think they're in the middle, right? Not left, not right. Okay, you're very rational, but wrong. Okay, ready? They are called actively disengaged. Wow, actively disengaged. You want the definition? Those are the people that are not only unhappy at work, but they come every day to show their unhappiness. And what's their best way? To sabotage the work of engaged colleagues. They come to destroy. You see, I compare them to a fox. The fox, they see a hen that laid a golden egg. She's very happy, she's proud. Says, you laid a golden egg? Yes, so I eat you for lunch. You finished. Okay, so that's the situation. Are you okay? Good. So now, this is what CEOs imagine is their company. They say, we are beautiful, we win the Olympic gold, right? Right? You want to see how the real company looks? That's how the real company looks. The first guy, you remember the percentage, he's rowing strongly. The 5 guys behind, they do just splash. Psh, psh, psh. So the first guy think they work. And the last 2 guys, they're rowing in opposite direction. Oh, like that. Oh. So you look and say, wow. You say to yourself, I don't think that the boat is moving. And the guy, know what he says to you, the coach? He says, that's a good day, because usually we go backwards. Okay, now, let me go and see what's really behind that. We're laughing. But in fact, it's a very serious philosophical issue. These people, do they think that they are born to be like that? That everywhere they behave like that? Why do they behave like that? And so, I will talk a lot about philosophy today. In fact, I'm a business philosopher, if you want, right? And I'll talk a little bit about Western, but mostly about Chinese philosophy. And not because I came here. I always talk about Chinese philosophy, which relates to what I'm talking. Now, I mentioned just one Western philosopher, Aristotle, right? And he was the first one that asked this question, what's the good life? what's the good life? And he said the good life, it's more than 2,000 years ago. It's contemporary maybe of Lao Tse, Confucius, and so on. And he says the good life, people experience a good life when they satisfy certain needs that they have. He talked about material needs, he talked about physiological needs, but he talked also about spiritual needs, like being respected, learning things, right? So if people evolve in the environment, they satisfy that, they say, I have a good life, okay? I live a good life. Now, he also knew, he invented the political science, that societies are not equal. Imagine in old Greece, he was a Greek philosopher, right? If somebody was born in a large city, like Athens, he maybe had more chances to live a good life, right? Than somebody that was born in a rural area or somebody who was born a slave, right? So now, we are moving fast forward to our days. Companies are micro-societies, right? So we can talk also about companies. Here is a famous philosopher, at least in the Western world, who invented the concept of servant leadership. His name is Robert Greenleaf. And he defined a good society. He studied all the companies, right? He said a good society is where people find their wholeness through many and varied contributions. He wrote it in 70s or in 80s. So if you create an environment where people can reveal their talent, can contribute in many different ways, they will say, I live a good life in this company. So now let's move to a company and let's see our friend the manager. So this is a manager. What does he see in an average company? He sees that people are disengaged. You remember? They're not motivated. So he says, how can I motivate them? He talks to his superior or he talks to HR manager. What do you think is the answer, typically? What do they tell him? You're a manager, right? You come, you ask me how to motivate them. What's your job? What's the job of a manager? To motivate people, right? Go and motivate them. Why are you asking me? I'm not paying you to do the things, I'm paying you to motivate the team. What he will answer to this person? He tried or not? Did he try to motivate? Yeah. Did it work? Not so. Is he right or not? He did try. What did he try? What are the typical motivational tools in companies that managers use? How do they call them? What are they? Incentives? Beautiful. It's called popular carrots. Carrots? Does it work, a carrot? You understand that I like a lot animals, right? You understand? The carrot works like with a donkey, with an employee. Donkey? The donkey usually doesn't want to move, right? So if you show a carrot to a donkey, the donkey moves, gets the carrot and stops. What does he want now? Another carrot, 2 carrots, bigger carrot, okay? So you need to invest in carrot fields if you want donkey to move, okay? Now, by the way, where there are carrots, there are also sticks, don't forget it. If he doesn't take a carrot, he'll get a stick. That's what managers try to do, and they know from their experience that it doesn't work. By the way, if you don't believe me, I'll show you the data from Germany. That's from Germany Gallup. You see, from 2001 to 2015. This is the number of engaged employees in Germany. There is 3% margin error. So if you think that the worst years were 11, the best years is 16, the trend is flat. We agree? Do you agree also with me that German managers used all kind of incentives? All kind of motivational tools. They spent hundreds of millions in doing that, in being trained to do that. It doesn't work. Should we continue or we should say it doesn't work? That besides the fact that in all business schools we teach that extrinsic motivation does not work. Stop. Companies continue to do that. Okay? So we say to manager, if you don't believe it works, stop motivating them. Now he's really worried. You see he's worried? He says, what should I do? What should I do? Okay. We thought about it a little bit. We suggest you that you become a leader gardener. Have you heard about this term, leader gardener? You've heard about that? comes from China, by the way. You will see. It's not a joke. See, look, we'll explain you. You see, you have flowers in your garden that are disengaged or actively disengaged. Lay on the ground. They don't want to be beautiful. We agree that they have a potential to be beautiful, but in your garden they're not. Are you going to motivate them with incentives? If you raise your head, you're getting BlackBerry from the company. No flower raises the head for BlackBerry today. It's finished, BlackBerry. So, Apple. Apple, 7, 8, was the best. X, I'm not Apple, I'm not in a cult, but Apple X, okay? Is she raising the head? You say, you get Apple X with a red cover, like goes with, is she raising the head or not? No. You say, look, you don't even have your own office. If you raise your hand and you keep it 6 months, you'll get your private office with a window. Wow! You can't imagine what people are ready to do for that. Is she raising your hand? The flower? No. What will you do that this flower that has a genetic potential to be beautiful becomes beautiful? What are you going to do? Tell me. Some water, what else? Sun, light, what else? Some nutrition, some fertilizers, some stuff. I knew that it will work beautifully in China. I know that's great gardening culture. In fact, you are good gardeners. You are good gardeners. A good gardener, he knows something very interesting. If I took a flower or a tree that has a potential to be beautiful, and they saw that it's beautiful, and in my garden, it's not beautiful, whose fault is that? You're laughing, but you know, particularly in Europe, some men say, you know, climate, soil, nothing grows here. He says to his wife, okay? You know what the wife says? Look at the neighbor there, look there. 15 meters, the same flower there, look, okay? And stop looking at the neighbor, look at the flower, okay? Beautiful, the flower. You are not doing your job. And this is the second quality of being a good gardener. He knows what's his job. His job is to know what are the physiological needs of this specific flower, of this specific tree. How much water does it need? 1. How much light does it need? 2. What exactly minerals needs? Not maximizing, like with incentives, longer and longer carrot. Exact amount. For tulips, they come from Holland, you need less water. Sorry, I don't know whether there's something wrong here. Yes, okay. Before I show you the tulip, I'll tell you about something, about your own philosopher, Mencius. You can read it probably here, okay? And that's what he said. Trying to help sprouts grow by pulling them up is not only useless, it also harms the sprouts. That's what we do in companies. We try to pull people instead of creating an environment where they grow by themselves, okay? And if you do it as a real gardener, you get flowers like that. Less water, not more water. Because that's what tulip needs. Roses needs more water, okay? Now, here is one more philosopher that inspires very much this philosophy, Tao. Tao says the sage acts without action and teaches without talking. All things flourish around him. You don't act on people. You don't motivate people as you don't act on the flower. You're a gardener, you work on the environment. If you create the environment, the flower becomes beautiful by itself. The person is motivated by himself. So, I'll show you just the titles of my book, so you can now go and read. We stopped the conference. It's not a joke, it came out just 2 days ago, okay? Chinese edition. It's translated to many languages, but this is Chinese edition. There are things written here. It's not empty, because maybe you don't believe, okay? Okay, And since I'm live, so Wei Dong invited me, right? So I'll tell you some of the things right away. What does it mean? Creating this environment. You understood the role of the leader? Leader gardener creates an environment. It's not simple. What I studied that it takes at least for medium companies 3 years. Large corporations that I saw, they did it around 10 years. There is no shortcut because people are people. You start from here. As you remember, here there are a lot of horses lying and foxes hunting hens that lay golden eggs. You remember? You want to get here. What's here? Here are companies that have 70-80% of engaged employees. In Gallup's works with some of the companies, they go up to 70% of engaged employees. Okay, you can't get there. It's not a kind of the dream. It's a reality. Okay, and that's what I saw in the companies. And the road is long. And in fact, you understood that what I'm talking about is a philosophy. There is no model. It's a philosophy of building the companies where the majority of employees, they have complete freedom and responsibility to make any decision and action they decide by themselves. Not their managers, not procedures, themselves as being the best for company's vision. So it's about freedom and responsibility. Without responsibility, freedom is anarchy. And if you give responsibility to people and don't give them freedom of how to work, with whom to work, what's the deadline, it's a joke. So you need both. There is no method. I haven't observed any specific method. I'm sorry for those who believe or think, but I haven't observed in companies that I study there is a method, a path. Why? Because every company is different, and how to get there, you may need to go through here, through here, through here, and through here. A company like Michelin, they have about 20 business units. Every plant is doing its own way. Decathlon, every store is doing their own way. There is no method, no model. Okay? You have to invent it, co-invent it, co-create it. Here is another saying from Tao Te Ching. Beware of those who promise a quick and easy way, for much ease brings many difficulties. Follow your path to the end. Accept difficulty. If you don't have difficulty, you're on the wrong track. You're going down the mountain, not up. Accept the difficulty as an opportunity. This is the sure way to end up with no difficulties at all. By the way, I could just bring you Tao Te Ching instead of me talking and say read it, and it's everything you have to know about what I'm talking about. All is there. I'm just trying to translate from the old Chinese to modern English. But there are good questions to be asked, and the questions are the similar. Although every time the way is different, there are good questions. Here are a couple of questions that we'll ask together. You remember that 90% of Europeans are disengaged or actively disengaged. Here's my question. Were they like that the first day you hired them? They were like that? No, they were enthusiastic, they were motivated, they wanted to do a good job, right? You hired them through all kinds of interviews to have people that want to do a good job. So here's my second question. What happens to these people who behave like hens that lay golden eggs, you remember? They come and say, we can improve here, we can change here, right? They lay golden eggs. That maybe a couple of weeks or couple of months after, you enter the room, you are, imagine, the manager. It was a smiling lady, she was always say, sir, I have another idea, we can run this project. And suddenly, say hello, and she looks at her like that. Something is wrong with you? She's not answering. And suddenly, science fiction in front of you. It was a beautiful hen, remember? With beautiful feather. She starts to change the appearance. She becomes fatter and fatter. The feather becomes a hair, a horse hair. And he starts to become a horse. And he becomes a big, fat horse, falls down on the ground and says, sir, tell me what I have to do and I will do it. You had an engaged hen that will lay golden eggs. You get a tired horse who is waiting to follow your orders. What's going on in companies? Because in some companies you hear, let's fire the foxes, remember? That kill the hens. 20%. They hire new people. What's the percentage of new foxes in 6 months? Same, some people say more, because there is even more fear and hate in the company after you fire 20% of people, right? There is something fundamental in the way our companies are organized and managed that produce these behaviors. This is very important to understand, and so the whole thing is to transform it. I'm not a specialist in organization. This is not my field. My field is the philosophy of leadership. Who is the person that can transform an organization? Who is that person? The person that has a mandate to transform an organization. The number one. The CEO or the business unit CEO. Only he has the right to do it, no one else. Not HR director, not trade unions, not managers. Only him. This is the guy. If he understood what's going on in the company, in order to understand it, he has to go and see the people. The people are not smiling. If people are not smiling, we will be dead in 3 years. It's simple. They don't want to be here. They don't want to do a good job. They do a minimum. How can you survive? How can you be a champion? So if he understands that, he thinks, how can I change the situation? This is my responsibility. Only my responsibility. So I want to climb this mountain. Remember the mountain? In the morning. Am I ready? We discussed it with Wei Dong right now. Am I ready? Did I lose my ego? Did I work on myself? Otherwise, don't go there. You will be 4,000 meters up and you'll still think you go there, you go there. No. You start by working on that. Once you did it, and it may take a little bit of time, you may ready to go. And you'll say, yes, now I'll give a big speech like me standing here. And I saw such speeches in the company. The leader is standing in front of the whole company and say, I'll picture you our future. Our future will be wonderful. Everyone will get respect. Everyone will get trust. You are the most intelligent people in the world. He gives a speech. That's what we will be. I assisted in some of the speeches. I saw employees crying. They believed their CEO. The end of your speech is, this is our future. We'll transform radically the company. And who is the savior of the world? Who is the savior of the world? The CEO. Wonderful. Everyone applauds. People stand up. I say to CEOs, don't do that. Don't do that. You know why? You'll give this speech. People will cry some. And they will go back to their work. In their shop, the temperature was 30 degrees because air conditioning is broken. And they asked for air conditioning 6 months ago. Is it fixed now after the wonderful speech? Is it running? The miracle happened? Yes or not? No. The chair, you have problems with your back. Your chair is very bad. You ask for a different chair, ergonomic chair. There is a Santa Claus, put your new chair in your office? No. Nothing changed. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's difficult to change the things, right? What will employees say? Our CEO told us about the beautiful future. What do we see around? Nothing changed. Because people, they need all that. They don't have all that to climb to the mountain. They have the worst equipment in the world right now. They will say our CEO is a big cheater and manipulator. That's what they will see, and they're right. So don't speak, don't announce anything, act. It's a very simple thing that you start as a program. You ask every team, as a manager, you start to become a leader. What do you need in order to do the best work you are capable of? What do you need? And what prevents you to do that? And act on that. Don't speak. And you say it's hot here? Okay, I'll take care of that. Our computer is too slow. Okay, I'll take care of it. Prepare for that, obviously, because it may need some investments. Right? But imagine that you have sportsmen, you remember sportsmen in the boat? And they say, you remember, the rowers? And they say, I don't have the right equipment. I don't have a good... And say, no, we'll give it to you next year, but win the gold medal right now. But that's what companies do. Okay? So don't behave like that. Be normal person, because people have that in their shoes. They have pebble in the shoes. You ask them to climb the mountain, they think only about that. And what they think after, once they think about that, is that you don't care. You don't respect them. You don't give them the means to do a good professional work they're capable of. It's your fault. And they abandon you. You're not a leader. So if you did it, you can start climb, and you say, okay, give us, you need all a method, right? Method is beautiful. Method is reassuring. I say, no, go to the mountain, invent, okay? But I still studied all of these paths. What I studied is all these transformational paths, and I found out that finally they relied on something, all of them. They did different paths, but they relied on something. This something was mentioned here. Universal human needs. Remember, the flower has 3 needs, remember? Water, light, minerals. Human beings have 3 needs. It's not Maslow. Maslow is 1943. We're talking now about Deci and Ryan, the self-determination theory. The most important theory, psychological and intrinsic motivation that has been developed. Empirically tested. Maslow is a theory, never empirically tested. So the number 1, I call it intrinsic equality. They call it relatedness. Intrinsic equality, it means people nowhere in the world don't ask to be treated better than others, but they don't want to be treated as inferiors. What does it mean in companies, being treated as equal? It means treating people with respect, consideration, and trust to their intelligence. Not thinking you are more intelligent than them. They are. Because they're closer to the ground. Number 2 is growth. Self-realization. People have gifts, people have talents. You want to know? Wait where they and see where they go after the work. You'll find out that people are building airplane models, that they play in orchestras, that they are in local politics, that they build associations, they do a lot of stuff. But they have to wait the end of the day to use their gifts and talents. Can they do it at work? And then, self-direction. People don't like to be told what to do. They don't like to be controlled. Not all adolescents. But that's what people experience at work. People want to self-direct. That's how people self-direct their own lives, in their families. But it's not happening like that in companies. So what can you do? I'll give you some examples. So remember, there's no method. There's no one path. Every company has to co-invent their own path. And that's what I observed. I bring you to the oldest company that is a liberated company that is built on freedom and responsibility, which is called W.L. Gore. It's an American company. They manufacture Gore-Tex, and more than 1,000 innovative products. This company operates like that since 1958, so close to 60 years. 60 years they operated in that. They invented, they made Teflon-based cable, and then Gore-Tex. This is their Chinese division. You see all the products that they do in China. They're all over the world, okay? It's a very big company today, all over the world. And all over, including in China, it operates on these principles. I'll show you just some of the examples of trusting people with their intelligence. You hire people, right? You hire people. They hire people too. In most of the companies, new hires, they come and say, where is my job? He says, where is my job? The answer, in typical companies, here's your job, right? Here's the org chart, that's where you will work. What do? They trust your intelligence. What do they tell in core, you know? You know or not? That's what they tell in core. Look. Find out. I met an MIT engineer there, discussed with him, a guy, and said, I saw that, I said, I knew they're original, but they're totally crazy. I said, how much time do I have? He said, we don't know the time you need. So what do you mean, I can, a couple of weeks, I can go and look around, what do I want to do? Yeah, I said, you know, there was somebody from MIT 2 years ago, he took 1 year. 1 year to find your job. You're paid. How about that? They're crazy, right? No, they're not crazy. Because they trust that you are the best person in the world that knows what you're passionate about. You're an engineer in polymers, but we have 12 divisions. We have all series of products. We have needs all over. So you go and you try somewhere for 1 month and you see that if there is a fit between what's your passion, what you want to do, and what's there to do, and find what they call a sweet spot. So this is just one example of a practice, but there are thousands of practices, thousands, that you need to change in a traditional organization so that people feel respected and that you trust their intelligence instead of telling them what to do. They don't have business cards in core. They didn't have. Everyone is called associate, you understand? There's no titles, no ranks. No directors, no managers, no executives, nothing. And there was a problem. There was one lady, she was a member of the women club, women business, female business ladies. And everyone would show her card, you know, I'm a manager, I'm vice president, I'm this, and she would give a card associate, you know, so the other ladies would look at her, you're like a secretary or something. You're nobody. So she talked with Bill Gore at the time. It was many, many years ago, in the 60s, I think. And Bill Gore said, you know, I understand it's for social, so you know what? Print the card you want. For the ladies, you know, don't bring it inside, because we are all equal, okay? So she printed the card, Supreme Commander. You know what Supreme Commander, right? The biggest military person in America, Supreme Commander. Okay? It's not a joke. And so they were very happy with that. Now, if you go to China, or you go to Korea, South Korea, titles are important socially. So they let people print the titles and show it to their friends, families, it's not a problem. But inside, it doesn't mean anything. You have responsibilities, and these responsibilities may be that of the director of manufacturing plant somewhere. But the people will know you as a manufacturing leader. But that's not a title, because you are a leader when people follow you. If no one follows you, you're not a leader anymore. Stop. No one. So you're not a leader because you have a title. It's because there are people that recognize in you someone who can guide them. Okay, this is Bill Gore. Bill Gore once said, would go regularly to meet people, and he had this question very often. Have you made any mistakes recently? And some people say, no, I mean no mistakes, no. He said, you haven't been taking enough risks. And he would go away. He wanted to show people that he trusts fundamentally their intelligence, their brain. He wants them to find the ways how to do and take risks. The CEO and owner of this company, that was his job, by the way. That's a true leader. What you liberate, sometimes people say, what does mean liberated company? You liberate what is stifled in organizations. Initiative is stifled in organizations. People have a lot of great ideas, great projects. They don't tell it to their companies because they don't believe that companies will act on it. To whom they tell their great ideas? How to improve by 3% the productivity, how to reduce costs, to whom? To whom? To their friends and their family. Why? Why? After the work. Why? Because they respect him. because they know that he is intelligent. But then the company, he's sure that company thinks that he is stupid because they never ask him, what do you think? What do you propose? They tell him, you go there, you do that. So that demands a lot of change. Example now about the potential. How you liberate potential, how you let people grow. Again, no one way and self-direction. Again, no one way. All the time you have to find their own way because your practice is in one company, it's not the practice in another company. So what you need to transform is not what they need to transform, right? Okay, so let me bring you an example of Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson, everyone knows? Okay, Harley Davidson, wonderful. 73, wonderful. 80% of market share in heavy bikes in the United States. Legend. Everyone is buying Harley Davidson. What happened? Next. What happened next? Arrive our friends from, it doesn't work. It will, don't worry. Okay. Arrive Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, 31% market share. Like that. When Japanese arrived there, first time everyone laughed. And then, 7 years. They're still not doing anything Harley. 2 years later, 15% market share. And now they're losing every year $250 million. Every year. Losing, on fire. And they have 3 months before bankruptcy. Here comes Rich Tierling, named the 4th CEO. You always held the thing that there is a savior. He comes and he does something very interesting. Rich Tierling. He goes to see employees. He goes to see employees and he comes back to his executive committee. He went to the plants, he talks to the operators, and he has, I have 2 news for you. Bad news. I went to all our plants. I haven't met one human being in our plants. Not one. I even haven't met robots. Robots are intelligent nowadays. I met automatons, people who push the same button for 20 years. They don't think. We are going to die. And we deserve it. We made them like that. Now there is maybe a glimpse of good news. I noticed that they are intelligent. I noticed that they have ideas how to get us out from where we are. But that will demand a radical transformation, beginning with us. Are you ready? And they said yes. And they did it. And they started this transformation by 93. Said we decided that we should use the common language. You understand that in companies people don't speak the same language? The executives don't speak the language, managers don't speak the language, operators, they don't understand each other. Right? The one give orders or say yes sir, right? We decided we should use the common language to help people ask and answer 2 key questions. Number 1, where are we going together? It's called vision, it's called purpose. They worked 2 years. Don't think that there is a simple answer. Don't believe somebody who says a simple answer. They worked 2 years with all employees, with trade unions, to find this answer. And they found it. That's the answer that they found. We fulfill dreams through the experiences of motorcycling. We're not building or selling motorcycles. We fulfill dreams. The people who sit on the Harley, they hear that, wow, they transform themselves, right? They become different, okay? They sell dreams or fulfill dreams, okay? The other second question is, how can I help to reach that destination? The same question to any person in the company. Manager, CEO, operator, everyone. This is our common dream, common purpose, common vision. How you suggest and contribute to move us there. How you. And that's what we expect from every one of you. Take initiatives, make decisions. Now, so we can go there. And what they did, call it circle organization, call it whatever. This is one of the several thousand elements. At some point said how we organize our work. We organize our work in traditional ways. No, that's ridiculous. We have different tasks, we have different projects, different activities. Let's call it natural work groups. Natural work group, the right people getting together to do the right work and do it right. If you need to stay together 5 days, it will last 5 days. If you need to assemble motorcycles, it will stand for years. The same team, right? And they said the whole company would change. We won't have silos. You understand the word silos? Marketing, finance, everyone works for himself, right? No, we'll have only 3 parts. There are people who create a demand. There are a lot of people who create demand. Marketing, sales, after sales, right? A lot of people that somebody wants to come to us. Then the people who produce product. They're responsible for that all together. And then there are people who provide support for this and that. And they have something inside, it's called Leadership Strategy Council. This is 94, 95, right? It's very old, okay? They invented it by themselves, okay? Not relied on anything. It's just made sense. I know this meeting, there was a dinner, and somebody pulled this, it started to draw it. And this Leadership Council, it's not a new executive board. It's just some council where every one of these circles send a representative. It can be a manager, it can be a technician that represents their activity and can explain to others so they can coordinate, right? Okay, I'll just show you some of the results. This is also part of the philosophy. All that you do in liberating companies, it's not to make money. Should I repeat it 2 times? If you try to transform your organization to make money, increase economic performance, people will think that you are just trying in sophisticated way to manipulate them, to become richer, to get more money to owners of the company. They will not believe that you are interested in them. You have to be focused on the people's needs. Only. The interesting part is that when you do it with a total focus, and you create an environment where people take initiative, develop their talent, and so on, they work better. They are more performing. And the company become among the most performing in all the industry. That's what I observed in all these companies. But this is a byproduct. That's not your goal. You understand that? It's a byproduct. So you become also richer. But you think about the person, not about the money. And so I'll show you what happened to Harley-Davidson. Remember that they were in a very bad situation. They were losing 250 billion. And they were selling 30,000 bicycles. And 10 years later, 177,000. They reached 2.5 billion sales. Their market share went to 50%. Their operational margins, average industrial company, 17%. There were several years they were more than 30%. Industrial company. They introduced themselves to New York Stock Exchange. 1998, 99, their market capitalization, you follow me, was superior to General Motors. General Motors at that time was not only biggest car manufacturer, but they had also bank and aerospace industry. With 7,000 people, they were like Apple. They were bigger than General Motors in value, but they didn't do that for that. You understand? They did it so that the people stopped to be automatons that push the button and be intelligent, talented individuals that every day contribute to the company. This is one of the CEOs that came after Rich Trilling, and that's what he said. The typical organization, you always go to the big boss. The concept of the circle organization that they invented takes the big boss out of this circle. Now their job is to coach rather than to make decisions and tell people what to do. You pull yourself out. By the way, all the executive board presented their collective resignation letter. They resigned. True. They didn't leave the company, but they asked to transform their job to the coach, sponsor. They stayed in the company, they kept their salaries as the law, but they started to behave differently. Not telling you what to do, but saying, you people, I'm a former executive vice president for marketing, you are creating demand, can I help you with something? You say, no, well, okay, I'm going fishing. But if you say, we have this issue with China, we have this issue with that, okay, maybe we can sit down, maybe I can share with you some experience, some information, okay? That's what they became. And here's again now your search. Tao, from Tao to Xing. Why do the 100 rivers turn and rush toward the sea? Because it naturally stays below them. He who wishes to rule over the people must speak as if below them. He who wishes to lead the people must walk as if behind them. So the sage rules over the people, but he does not weight them down. He leads the people, but he does not block their way. The sage stays low, so the world never tires of exalting him. He remains a servant to the world, so the world never tires of making him its king. It's all was written in your country more than 2,000 years ago. All the leadership philosophy that I'm talking to you about, there's nothing new, nothing new. You don't need any methodology. You don't need any model. Tao Te Ching is your way. Tao way. It's all written there. It's difficult to follow it, right? Very difficult. But all is written. Okay, I'm finishing here. What do you get when you get to the top of the mountain? You get out of the people the greatness. Everyone can become great. There is a greatness that you reveal. It's me. I invented this formula. You can use it. It's not patented. The formula for greatness is initiative multiplied by potential in square. If people take zero initiative, can you imagine in football, the guy has the ball, the only thing that he does, he throws out the ball. He doesn't dribble, he doesn't pass, he doesn't strike. Can you win any game? But that's what happens in the company, zero initiative. You are condemned to mediocrity. The person that has the potential to make decision has to have the authority to make it with his team. Now, when the persons have initiatives, sometimes they lack skills, right? Sometimes they lack knowledge. You start to work with them on their potential. Say, oh, you want to deal with some financial issues. Okay, let me send you maybe to some training, or let me bring some of our big experts so he will work with you and coach you on this issue, so you can launch this new business product or service. Understanding also financial. So I invest in you, and that's how you become great. Companies like that I told you exist. The oldest one is Gore. Gore, more than 60 years, in plants in 12 countries, including in China, operating in 30 countries. More than 10,000 people, $3.2 billion, 15% organic growth per year, annual, average. Harley Davidson, we mentioned, there are companies like Decathlon all over the world that are doing that, including in China. A company like Favi, this is the oldest in France. The auto parts suppliers, right? Gear shifts. In France, they export to China. Can you imagine people with French salaries, you understand that? They're cheaper, they beat their Chinese competitors. This is unheard of. Their price is lower than the price of similar product in Chinese plants. Why? Because every year, the ideas, intelligence, initiatives of operators allow them to reduce prices by 5% every year. They never delivered. Who are from industrial companies here? Raise your hand. There's no one. You don't care about industry in China, I know. You don't manufacture anything in China. I'm joking. But anyway, they never delivered in 30 years later, not one time. Not one time. Okay? So that's a company. You have it in all kinds of countries, including in China, by the way. There was a company, at least one I knew, they were manufacturing electronic toys. 8,000 people, not far from Canton, Guangdong in the south. Dongguan, in Dongguan, okay, 8,000 people. And Michelin plant also in China are moving in that direction. So that's why I put Chinese flag too. And most of them are so in France. The vast majority of these companies are in France. That we call liberated companies, that invented everyone their own way, but people there, 70-80% of people enjoy freedom and responsibility to make their own decisions. You have companies like Michelin, I told you, here. They're also in German plant and different others. You have Airbus airplanes, they're doing that. You have Decathlon, you have Kia, you have all kinds of companies. The majority, of course, are small, medium companies because their number is large. There are 2 ministries in Belgium that are doing that. 2 ministries, government ministries, municipalities, social security. So it's not only companies, it's also government. Government is doing that a lot in France. Okay, I'm finishing here. Last, just film 30 seconds from Bill Gore. Remember Bill Gore? Bill Gore was asked one day, how do you control all the plants all over the world? It's crazy. In your company, no titles, no org chart, cows. That's what he told. Where's the film? Because we have some problems with films, you understand that? They said, cut the film. Sound, no sound, silent film. It's a short film, so we have to go back. I don't. Go back, please. Okay, I'll go back. Back. No. We go back. Okay, and we start again. And you start again, and we just show that, and it's finished. Hold on. Oh! Wait a minute. The cinema is not ready.
Around the world. I kind of laugh and I say, well, I don't.
So that's his answer. He said, how do you control all these plants around the world? And he said, I don't. That's it. Thank you very much.
谢谢这位教授这么精彩的而且绘声绘色的演讲。因为伊萨盖斯教授其实另外一个身份是，就是欧洲最有名的一个演说家俱乐部里面的成员，所以我们刚才也可以看到。所以非常感谢啊。那对我们这个时间的关系，我们再留一个问题，好吗？下面有 OK， 一位女士举手最快，来一个话筒。
尊敬的盖茨先生，我来自米其林。在我今天带来了2013年这本自由企业这本书。我在中国和法国一直也从事这个组织进化的工作有7年了，那么4年在法国，4年在中国。那么今天你的这个演讲，我听得非常的激动，因为我本人第一次见到了，因为这本书解决了我们一个很大的问题，就是到底是什么让我们有 motivation。然后在我的这个经历的过程当中，我们有一个感受，就是说最重要的不是怎么去做，而是为什么做现在做的这些事。Why we do what we do, not how we do. 但是在昨天到今天的这个论坛当中，我们听到很多的分享，大家的关注点都是在于说，这个应该怎么做呀？这一点我觉得可能是要给所有的伙伴一个提醒，这个怎么做并不重要。就在今天您的演讲里也讲了说，每一个企业、每一个组织，它需要去 co-invent 自己的这个道路。 所以这一点的话，最重要的是说还是去问那个为什么，因为我们公司的转折也是从问 how 转到了为 why。所以这个是我们能够看到光明的一个很重要的步骤，因为这里这么多有热情想要致力于改善自己的组织，走向更好的，这是一个很大的一个 dilemma。我是希望你能够跟大家在这个问题上有一个更多的分享，能够让我们现在的小伙伴能够尽量的绕过这样一个弯路。谢谢。
Okay, thanks a lot for your testimony. Can you show again this book? Yeah, this is called in France the Yellow Bible. Yeah, Yellow Bible, because it's yellow, it's a pocket, it's called 10 euros. In France, 10 euros is nothing, you know, just you have coffee, okay? I mean, in Georges V, but it's not expensive. And it's in fact became a phenomenon, this book. It's not a best-selling book, but it's really phenomenon. It's the most sold book in the last 4 years, business book. And everyone knows this book. And it's really influenced a lot of companies. At least they ask the questions, and they started to ask the right questions. And thank you for your comment, because as you know, it's true, and it's very natural and legitimate. When you have a problem, look for a method and how to solve it, right? But it's, remember, I asked you how many tried to lose weight, and why people don't lose weight. It's a problem of a method, because for some people it works, and because they don't know why they want to lose it, fundamentally. Really, for them as human beings, something extremely deep. So it's important, the how thing, but the why, the vision, on the one hand, why do our employees come to work? What do we try? Very important. Or what do we dream to achieve together? That's a vision. It's a dream. It's not EBITDA 12%, market share increasing by 3%. No one jumps from his bed in the morning and say, wow, I work for company, EBITDA 12%. Ooh, I'm so excited. You know such people? I have never met such people. Something that makes them dream and want to do together. This is one why, very important. That ends conflicts in company. Not difference in opinions, because you and me can disagree. But we will sit together and we start talking with respect to each other. I respect your opinion. I have to learn how to do it. You too, right? And you, because together we'll look what is the best way to move forward to our vision, right? And not you are wrong, I'm right. Okay? And the other why, very important. Remember, we discussed it. What is a company? Is it a machine? A mechanism? Or a living human organism? If it's a living human organism, what do we do so that it thrives, flourishes? Do we think in our company that by having org chats, procedures, time clocks and all the things, the people will be alive in the company? Does it work? So the why is, how can we create an environment? Remember the gardener metaphor? And in China, tell me if I'm wrong, you are philosophically a country where human being is not distinguished from nature. Is it true? That you're part of the nature. Part of the nature, right? And so, what is true for trees? What is true for flowers? True for human beings? How can we, spending the largest amount of our waking hours when we don't sleep, what do we do with the largest proportion of our hours? We work. This is our life. It's a very important part of our life. How can we create an environment where people, instead of waiting to finish the day and get the money and run to the real life, can live a real life? This is the why. That's also the reason, and the lady knows it, that liberated company never achieved, is never achieved. It's a way, it's an adventure, it's a road. You always have some new challenges, some new people coming. Something changes in your environment, but there's always something, and people will say you, how can we maybe transform that way we work, maybe change this because we feel that kind of we are stuck, that we don't learn nothing new, that we don't realize our gifts. They will suggest you, and then you have to go with them and ask them, you're right, what do you propose? The solutions come from people, from work teams, not from somebody outside. The people will find the way how to replace time clocks. And in France, you have a legal obligation to know what amount of time every employee worked. It's in the labor code, labor law. But please find the solution. We remove time clocks because you think that time clocks are a control mechanism that doesn't trust you, that you will steal company time. You understand that? Replace it with another way that fits you. And if we have government inspector and says, how many hours you worked? Say, 32 hours. Find the solution. And people find, what is the solution? Self-declaration. Self-declaration. The person at the end of the week said, I worked 38 hours, I worked 42 hours. My salary in France, 35 hours, 7 hours, extra time, and I'm paid. No one checks. You trust people. That's how it works. Okay, I know that the time is running, right? So maybe one more question, we don't, or no? No, he's hungry. I'm okay, my time in France, it's maybe like 11:20, so I can go for 2 more, 3 more hours. You know. I went to bed tonight at 4. Yeah, because I don't want to get a jet lag, you understand? So that's but I know that you are hungry, you are tired, so please, thank you.